The piercing scream echoed through the quiet hospital corridor, a sound so raw it seemed to tear the very air apart. "Doctor!" Elena Martinez froze mid-step, her clipboard slipping from her hands as the cry reverberated, a mother's anguish, a child's fading hope. She knew that voice. It belonged to Sarah Grayson, a single mother who had fought tooth and nail to keep her son, 8-year-old Liam, alive through a rare and aggressive form of leukemia. Elena had been Liam's oncologist for 2 years, watching the boy's bright spirit dim with each failed treatment. Today, that scream signaled the unthinkable. The experimental drug had failed, and Liam's time was running out. Elena's heart sank, not just as a doctor, but as someone who had grown to love this family like her own. Elena rushed to the room, her white coat fluttering behind her. Inside, Sarah clung to Liam's frail body, her tears soaking his hospital gown. The boy's once lively brown eyes were half closed, his breathing shallow. Machines beeped erratically, a cruel reminder of life slipping away. Across the room stood Drive. Harold Grayson, Sarah's father and a retired surgeon, his face a mask of stoic grief. He had spent his career saving lives, but now, faced with his grandson's imminent death, he was powerless. Elena approached, her voice trembling as she offered comfort, but the words felt hollow. Sarah looked up, her eyes blazing with a mix of despair and fury. "You promised me, Elena. You said this would work." The accusation stung, but Elena couldn't argue. She had believed in the drug, had staked her reputation on it, and now she felt the weight of her misjudgment crushing her. The days that followed were a blur of emotional turmoil. Sarah withdrew into silence, barely speaking to Elena or her father. Harold, meanwhile, buried himself in old medical journals, searching for a miracle he knew didn't exist. Elena, haunted by guilt, spent sleepless nights reviewing Liam's case, desperate to find a solution. The hospital staff whispered about the Grayson tragedy, and the once tight-knit team began to fracture under the strain. Elena's colleagues urged her to step back, to let another doctor take over, but she refused. Liam wasn't just a patient to her, he was the son she never had, a connection forged through late-night chats about dinosaurs and dreams of becoming an astronaut. One evening, as rain lashed against the hospital windows, Elena sat by Liam's bedside, holding his tiny hand. His condition had worsened, and the doctors had given him days, maybe hours. Sarah had stepped out for a moment, and Harold lingered in the doorway, his presence a silent sentinel. Suddenly, Liam stirred, his weak voice breaking the stillness. "Doctor, Elena, will I ever see the stars?" The question pierced her soul. She forced a smile, whispering, "We'll find a way, Liam. I promise." It was a lie she didn't believe, but it sparked something in her, a reckless determination. She remembered a cutting-edge gene therapy trial in Switzerland, a long shot that required immediate action and resources they didn't have. Elena approached Harold with the idea, her voice shaky but resolute. "We can't give up. There's a trial. Experimental, risky, but it might save him." Harold's eyes narrowed, his surgical mind kicking into gear. He knew the odds were slim, but he also saw the desperation in Elena's face, mirroring his own. Together, they devised a plan. Harold would use his old connections to secure a spot in the trial, while Elena would appeal to the hospital board for emergency funding. Sarah, overhearing their conversation, erupted in anger. "You're playing with his life again. I won't let you." Her words were a dagger, but Elena pleaded, her voice breaking. "I failed him once, Sarah. Let me try to make it right." After a tense silence, Sarah nodded, tears streaming down her face, her trust hanging by a thread. The next 48 hours were a whirlwind. Harold pulled strings with former colleagues, securing a last-minute slot in the Swiss trial. Elena faced the hospital board, her impassioned plea, backed by Harold's reputation, barely swaying the skeptical administrators. They agreed to fund the trip, but only if Elena accompanied Liam and Sarah, taking personal responsibility for the outcome. The journey was grueling. A transatlantic flight with a critically ill child, customs delays, and the constant fear of losing him mid-transit. Sarah's hands never left Liam's, her prayers a soft murmur against the hum of the plane. Elena, meanwhile, fought her own battle, doubt gnawing at her, wondering if she was leading them to false hope. Upon arrival, the Swiss medical team was skeptical. Liam's condition was too advanced, they said, and the therapy untested on such a young patient. But Elena refused to back down, presenting Liam's case with data and passion, while Harold's presence lent credibility. The lead researcher, Drive, Klaus Weber, relented, agreeing to proceed. The procedure was a success in the initial stages, but complications arose. Liam's body rejected the therapy, and his vitals crashed. For 12 agonizing hours, the team worked tirelessly. Elena stood by his side, whispering encouragements, while Sarah and Harold held each other, their differences forgotten in shared fear. Miraculously, Liam stabilized. The gene therapy began to take hold, his immune system responding where all else had failed. Days turned to weeks, and the boy's color returned, his eyes brightening with each passing day. The hospital room, once a place of despair, became a haven of laughter as Liam chattered about the stars he'd soon see. Sarah and Elena reconciled, their bond deepened by the ordeal. Harold, too, found peace, admitting to Elena, "I couldn't save him alone, but together, we did." The trio returned to the States as a family, stronger than ever. Months later, Liam stood on a rooftop observatory, a telescope in hand, gazing at the stars. Elena, Sarah, and Harold watched, their hearts full. The journey had tested their limits, broken them, and rebuilt them. Liam turned to them, grinning, "I told you I'd get here." Elena smiled through tears, realizing the true miracle wasn't just his recovery, but the love that had carried them through. The story of their struggle spread, inspiring others to hold on to hope, to fight for those they loved, and to find strength in unity. As the stars twinkled above, they knew that even in the darkest times, the unseen bonds of family and faith could light the way.